Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Breakfast Clubbing with the Boys, Episode 3, Bald Predictions. Man, what's going on? I know you're on vacation up there in Northeast Texas. Yesterday went to the Derby. Give us a little rundown of your first experience over at the Globe, Texas Live.
Yeah, man. So actually visiting my dad as we speak, currently in Wills Point, Texas. Brody's a little familiar with the East Texas area out here, but yeah, so
ownership of that area.
Yeah, man. So let's see. Flew in on Saturday. You know, it's been hot in Pittsburgh, and listen, I've lived up there since 2012. So coming in here, man, it's just a different kind of heat. So it just swallows you up. And had plans, bought some tickets to the Home Run Derby yesterday. Surprised my dad. So we were able to get over there to Globe Life, and kind of my first experience with the new stadium, and obviously like an all-star weekend. I've never really been over to an all-star game in my life or a home run derby. So it was my first experience with that, but man, it was awesome. We had a great time, and kind of walked around Texas Live, man. That's a great spot for, pregame festivities or postgame festivities. So they did it right over there. It's comfortable, all indoors, and didn't have to, walk out in the heat very much.
Yeah, we're getting up there mid-August to catch the Twin Series. Kerry's got to watch his boys play. We went last year, and we only went to one game, and it was an awesome game. And it came down last inning, ninth inning, and Bombi hits a walk-off home run, and we wore him out, man. He hated it so much, but it was a blast. So we're looking forward to get back to it. But before we talk about the Derby, was the national anthem as bad live as it was on TV? I had so many people texting me while it was going on, and I'm asking you at the same time while you're there. I'm like, what is happening in the stadium?
Listen, I'm not real sure. There were obviously some extracurricular activities that Ingrid Andress, participated in. That's speculation, but my opinion, that's what it sounded like. It sounded like a bad karaoke performance, man. But, that was tough. You have to look, I had to look at Braden, my bonus child. He was sitting next to me. I'm like, man, is this as bad as my ears are telling me? But yeah, it was pretty bad, man. I don't really understand why some of those artists come in there and try to make it their own song. I guess I do get it, but give me
especially acoustic. You're going to get exposed for sure.
Yeah, give me Chiefs, Eagles, Super Bowl, Chris Stapleton. Every time
on repeat. Yeah, every time.
And that is what the national anthem should sound like every time. So yeah, the national anthem wasn't a great follow up to our boy from the Rangers getting introduced last for the home run derby. You went from that stadium completely rocking to kind of what the heck is going on.
Pin drop.
Yeah, we had a blast, man. It was a great time.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that, the local boy, after Dolis was out, Bobby Witt, hopefully he was going to pull that out, and came up a little short. But, we'll hit on it some more, man, talk about the Derby. But other than that, we're at that all-star break. Rangers 5 back, Buccos 6.5 back. What's your vibe on the Pirates? We got some buyers, sellers. What do you think?
Man, obviously I'm 38 years old. I honestly have really never known the Pirates to be buyers. I think it was maybe in the 2014-15 timeframe where they made that crazy trade with the Rays where they acquired Chris Archer, but they gave up Tyler Glasnow. They gave up Shane Baz, and who was the other big? There was another big name in that deal that was just it's arguably one of the worst trades in Major League Baseball history. But yeah, I hope they're buyers. I mean, they're 48-48. We got 66 games left to go. Out of those 66, I think they have to get to 83 to 85 wins in order to set themselves up in that wild card series. Which if Pittsburgh can do that, man. I mean, if you send out Paul Skenes, Jared Jones, and Mitch Keller in a best of 5 series. Yeah, best of 5 series. Or no, it'd be best of 3 series. It's man, I mean, you got a chance. So as a Pirates fan, getting in the dance, really for any team, but especially a Pirates fan, if you get in, man, anything can happen. As well, we know, with any level of baseball that we've ever played, you just get in,
with the Rangers
you got a
year.
chance. Yeah, exactly. Man.
They don't win the
They
division,
didn't lose a game,
and then go on the road and don't lose a game on the road. So.
And
there's 9 teams divided by 3 games in the wild card in the NL right now.
Yeah,
it's like 9 teams fighting for 2 spots.
Think about that as a Rangers fan. I mean, never lost a game on the road. That's actually insane. Kind of reminiscent of Texas A&M baseball this year, not losing a non-conference game, which is incredible.
And it was, as being a Rangers fan, and our guests will talk about that too, but you just there's no way. The first game playing in Tampa, Evaldi's throwing, we got a shot here. The offense just takes off. And it's the next game, it's we'd probably lose this one, then we get game 3 or something. But it just never happened. They just kept going. Yeah. That's kind of how it's been this first half. They've been banged up so much, and still not really a timetable on DeGrom solidifying coming back. But being only 5 games back, they're kind of right there again. Young's still not healthy, and they're just kind of treading water. Marcus gets an all-star. I think Seager, what way he's been playing lately, probably deserved to be on the team, even though he came in late after an injury. But if Josh Smith over there third, if that guy's not even on the team this first half, maybe something different. And the guy can't even get an all-star invite. But, it's pretty crazy, man. It's going to be an exciting second half. We're kind of pumped for tonight. I know you're going to hit on here in a minute, but what you got cooking for me? What's a couple things you got cooking?
So big week this week if you're a gamer, man. I mean, we went back to battles, NCAA 25 came out, so that's what I'm referring to, folks. NCAA 25 was released yesterday. What's that?
What game were we playing in college?
Dude,
NCAA what?
NCAA 07, 06, 07. I mean, that's the graphics probably don't even compare to what they are today. But dude, I must have ran Pat White, Steve Slayton with West Virginia and beat you by 100 every time. It was some of the
thing is, you claim that every time we talk about it, but I just don't remember it because for whatever reason I would play with Notre Dame. I don't know. Maybe I was big into EAS with Brady Quinn. Those commercials just got
he was
just
bad.
Got me. What do you mean?
Bad. Steve, dude, West Virginia. I don't know how you don't remember that, but that is some of the crazy. Dude, you were like my big brothers when I would play them growing up. They would just turn the system off and quit right in the middle of it.
That's not true at all.
That's
not true.
Just get so
you had all that speed, and I would counter it with Notre Dame and that just methodical football with Brady Quinn and some 3-yard outs to my tight end. Who was it?
Yeah.
Margin, maybe?
Dude, Notre Dame. You're like Manti Te'o. You're like the girlfriend that never existed. You don't remember anything. That is crazy.
Oh, man.
Man.
We were talking about before the show. I got a buddy that's local, and he got the game yesterday. He's got a 4-year-old and another one on the way, and he's just probably 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon until about 11 o'clock just sending texts about this game's hard. I can't hang in this game. The gameplay's tough. He was over there playing mid-major schools and just grinding it out. So.
Oh, I believe it, man. I bet they made that the first college football game really since what? Johnny Manziel was in it, I think. It was 2013 or 14, I believe.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's exciting. But think about now they're getting ready to start fall camp football, and guys are going into locker rooms just beefing with their overall ratings, just fired up. Coaches are going to be calming guys down based on their EA Sports rating. I saw a tweet last night. It was Micah Tease, one of our wide receivers, had a picture of his avatar on the game, and it was a white guy. And he was like, man, y'all are wrong for this.
Oh, man, that's good stuff. Dude, that reminds me of when, they made 2 college baseball video games ever. It was called NCAA Baseball 06 and NCAA Baseball 05 and NCAA Baseball 06. And I was in both the games. All you were named was I was right-handed pitcher, so RHP number 18 on Texas A&M. Dude,
92-mile sinkers nonstop.
When you pitched with my guy, it was 96, 97 with a ridiculous slider. And I was thinking, holy cow, man, if I'm half as good as I am in this game, I'm going straight to the league, But anyway.
Hopefully these scouts are watching this tape right here.
Oh, exactly. Dude.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. I don't have a console anymore, but this might send me back into Gamerland and,
That's what I'm saying.
The things are just too expensive, but, I may have to do it.
I had to lead that off with what's cooking, man. It's a big week in the for college football fans everywhere that especially played the game. So it's pretty exciting that it's out. Braden, my bonus child, he has the PlayStation 5. So man, I don't get to play it, but we're actually on vacation now, so he's actually dying that he hasn't had a chance to play it yet. So
if you do, you got to play West Virginia, no matter who they got running out there, and just see if you can run back.
I was trying to think of my team, but yeah, probably not going to be West Virginia. No offense to my wife's family, who had two of her uncles played at West Virginia, but that may have been the team in the mid-2000s, but maybe not so much anymore.
Yeah, speaking of big week, man, last major of the year. I know you love your golf. You love to talk shop on golf, but Royal Troon hadn't been there since 2016. If you were picking somebody this week, I know you follow this really closely. Who are you taking this week? I need to know before I lock in my picks. And someone that doesn't really watch golf probably will have the answer. So that's where, someone that overanalyzes it. And
are any of our guys from A&M in this?
That I don't know. That's a good question.
Give me an Aggie.
You're going to take an Aggie? Oh, I don't know, maybe Cam Champ's in it. Ryan Palmer.
Yeah, give me Cam Champ.
I don't know if Sam Bennett's qualified or not. I know he's been playing on the Corn Ferry, but
can you really go wrong with a John Rahm or Scotty Scheffler nowadays? Good golly.
Yeah, last week
I don't really know much about the course and how it sets up, but
it's gonna be rainy. It's gonna be breezy.
Those guys are really good at golf.
Yeah. I was big on Ludwig Oberg last week, and he kind of laid an egg there on Sunday, but I think that was on purpose, just so he didn't have to win last week and then win again this week. So I think I might go that route. What's the last meal you got cooking for us?
Well, I guess being that it's All-Star Day, National League versus American League tonight, 7 o'clock, Globe Life Park. Really just wanted to talk about Paul Skenes and kind of what he's done for the Pirates organization, really since last June when he got drafted. A lot of people didn't know, was Dylan Cruz the pick or was Paul Skenes the pick. I think it's the Pirates proved to be right and didn't miss with that guy. When you have a guy that I think he's made 11 starts. He's 6-0. He has a 1.9 ERA right now. Video game like numbers with innings pitched to his strikeout to walk ratio. When you break down all that he's done in just 11 starts, and the one man that he's compared to is Nolan Ryan over and over and over again, and it's like, wow, this could be something really, really special for him as a career. Listen, I'm a Pirates fan. I understand in 5 years he's going to be wearing a different jersey. Please prove me wrong, Pirates ownership. But, the writing's kind of on the wall. I think he's going to get maybe not Shohei kind of money, but something along those $300-400 million. Definitely probably more than what Garrett Cole got, another guy that the Pirates drafted and couldn't keep. So
at the end of the day, it's just money. What are we talking about? Just give the guy some money and
it's just money, and it's just wins because he just proves over and over again that he's just going to give you a chance every time out that he pitches. And listen, man, I'm super excited for that guy's career. And if he stays healthy, God willing, man, he might be one of the best to ever do it.
You better get that jersey ASAP. I know you.
Man, I'm working on getting that autograph, man.
Yeah,
man, I need a few of those John Hancocks across a ball and across a jersey, you name it. It'll be worth something someday. That's right, man. Well, hey, I guess before we get in, you introduce who we got. Also want to shout out all the Aggie baseball players that got drafted yesterday and Thursday. Wait, What day is it?
Yeah, sure.
I don't even
well,
know
sorry,
what
you're on
day it is.
vacation. The draft was Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
Goodness.
Sunday and Monday. And I think, rounds 10 through 20 are today, so there may be a couple more that hear their names called today. But,
it's been
Braden
exciting to
Montgomery and Prager. Prager's still to be seen. I think Cortez is surely out. I assume Prager's probably surely out as well, but maybe
Hey, I just got a notification from ESPN. Ingrid Andreas apologizes for the national anthem performance, says she was drunk and is entering rehab.
No! Are you serious?
ESPN just broke that news right now, live on the show.
Oh, my.
We thought it was the other way around on the substance abuse, but, hey, we called it. It all makes sense now. Cheers to her, then.
Yeah. Cheers to you, Ingrid. Good luck at rehab, and we hope you get the help you need.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Please.
Didn't mean to laugh at your expense, but, man, it was memorable.
No, we won't forget that one for sure. No, to echo your point, man, we went through it, got drafted. It's a big-time deal. Nowadays with the draft being condensed down to a certain amount of rounds, like even getting picked now is a pretty exciting day. And, Prager, if he does decide to go that route, no one will bat an eye at that guy, man. He deserved it after the year he had. Got us really to where, ultimately where we wanted to be, playing for a national championship with him having the ball. So pretty exciting for those guys. I saw right before we came on, Terrence Keel, another one of those guys was on the fence out of high school that reaffirmed that he was coming to school. So to get one of those guys on campus, kind of like we got Gavin last year, that's exciting for us to, see what that kid's going to bring in for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Cool. So let's go on with our guest then, man. Our second guest of the show. Join us now. Man whose voice is very recognizable across Aggieland. A guy that takes probably 8 to 10 vacations a year. I'm grateful to call this guy family. Most people around Aggieland probably know him now as Megan Bach's husband, but fellow Aggie, Gabe Bach. What's up, Gabe?
What up, boy?
What up, guys?
What's happening?
How we doing?
Man, living, man. Better now that you're on the show.
A couple things. I've been listening in since the beginning.
Go
Austin Meadows was the third member of that Archer
There you
trade.
go.
Nice.
Good call, Gabe.
You should have just hopped back in and just dropped it. Just turned your mute off and be like Austin Meadows and then got out.
I have not seen the Aggies that you think might compete in the Open Championship. I have not seen their names on any list, so I don't think Bennett or Champ or Palmer are going to be in. I don't think
Cameron
Phillips is in. But guess what? Going way back to y'all's heyday, Nacho
Bronson?
Elvira. Nacho. Remember Nacho?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's 37 years old, so it'd have been right about the same time you guys played at A&M. Nacho
Nice.
Elvira is how you pronounce it, but it's better if you say Elvira.
He's probably got
He's
some
actually
juice.
in it.
He's probably got some
That's
juice to make
crazy.
the cut. There's probably some juice.
Yeah,
there.
that sucker right there, 2,000-1. I may just do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Boy,
Nothing
Nacho.
wrong with that.
Yeah, and
So-
if I could claim I was drunk or that bad, I'd probably claim I'm drunk. But
Yeah.
I hope that she gets the help she needs,
100%.
and I hope we never invite her back for another anthem because
Man.
there's bigger things in the anthem, and whatever she's dealing with, that was not good. And then that made me think about my top 5 anthem performances ever. Number 1 is Whitney for me in the Giants-Bills Super Bowl because that was when Desert Storm was going on. And number 2 was definitely Stapleton. That was unbelievably good. Number 3 was probably, I actually wrote down, Meatloaf in the 95 All-Star Game. Go look that one up.
I haven't
Dude,
seen
Meatloaf.
that.
Where was
Meatloaf
the
in
95 one at?
I want to think Coors, right? Because the Rangers
Yeah,
were
that sounds
94.
right.
I was gonna say I went to the Derby when it was in Houston, but that would have been a little bit later.
This was in an NL Park, and I think it was Coors, and it was either right before or after the Rangers hosted. So if the Rangers hosted 95, then it would have been 94. If the Rangers hosted 94, it would have been 95. Whatever that was, when Meatloaf had put out Bad Out of Hell 2, and he was the hottest thing going on MTV there for about 10 minutes, he got an invite to do the All-Star game and crushed it. All right? He was really good. Okay? And then now number 4 was Todd Seebeck in 06 on the guitar.
Oh, there you go. Shout out to Seaback. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I knew you'd like that. And number
Straight
5
up
was Shane
nerves.
Meeks. Shane Meeks.
Oh, gosh.
There's a big gap between Seaback.
I totally forgot about this.
There's a big gap between Seaback and Meeks. Ability on the guitar. Meeks had a little country twang to him. He tried really hard, but I had to put him 5th all time anthems. Seaback,
wow.
Now Meeks is still on it, but way below Seaback in my opinion.
Yeah, I got to see
Meeks is ahead of
Meeks.
Ingrid, though.
Way ahead of Ingrid. He's way ahead of Carl Lewis. Yeah,
well, Minx was a sight to see at karaoke night at the Tap. He was always good for Billy Currington, good directions.
Always.
You better believe it. Yeah, Minx is on point, man. Nick, brother, we're rocking the Pittsburgh. First time I met you, I found out you were a Pirates fan, and I mean it's good stuff, brother. You got to stick with your stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm excited about where they're at, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's been awful getting to this point for sure. You know,
dude, I'm a Rangers fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We get it.
Listen, I mean, my dad got to live the 70s World Series and with Clemente and all them. But listen, we live and die by the draft, and if you don't hit on those first round, second round, third round picks, you're not really going to be very good because they're not going to go sign free agents and they're not going to spend money. But it was funny, man. I actually wore this yesterday walking around the ballpark, and I had 3 people come up to me and say, and they were not even Rangers fans. I think one was a Detroit guy. There was a Kansas City guy. It was like, you guys have the best ballpark in the country. And it's no doubt, like, you know, it's pretty cool getting to go down to PNC Park every summer, but my kids are starting to love it getting down there. But the backdrop and the city and the skyline, it's really second to none.
Have you been there, cuz? I hadn't been there yet. It's my number 1 on my bucket list.
No doubt about it. I've been to Wrigley. I'm going to we got work in Boston in September, and we're going to hit Fenway for one. So,
heck yeah, Fenway's amazing.
But Pittsburgh, like you said, that the view in itself, you can't beat it. There's nothing better in the league.
Do you get a Permane sandwich, or is it overrated?
It's overrated.
It's overrated. That's what I heard.
He didn't want to say it.
No, it's like
overrated.
Geno's in Philly. Like, come on. I mean, you probably go to Max's Steaks or somebody a little better than Geno's if you know Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Gabe? What do you think? We were talking about the Derby. What do you think about the rules now? Do you want to go back to 10 outs? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up watching the black and white stuff with, you know, Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and Roger Maris. And just doing literally 9 innings.
That much.
Well, no, I watch reruns, right? Remember, my dream growing up was to be Brody Green. I didn't know he existed.
Goodness.
I wanted to play shortstop for the Aggies.
Wear a face mask.
Yeah. I wanted to get pummeled in the face twice. You know, like my college career.
Could you imagine if we were playing ball in today's world and I was wearing that damn thing? And I would be the laughing stock of
you'd be a Twitter
Instagram
sensation.
That would be tough. I would need guys like Hayden Schott to promote me just to keep me level, you know, because that would be tough.
Good.
I mean, I agree. Like, we got to go back 10 out, like the Josh Hamilton year at Yankee Stadium. And I wonder if we were talking about why guys aren't in it anymore. Now, if you win it, you get $1 million. But is it because they're taking so many hacks so quick that the guys like Judge and Harper, they're kind of just like, we did it once, we're not doing it anymore?
I kind of think that Hamilton was the start of a new trend. Because go back and look at Hamilton the year, and he didn't even win that Derby, did he? But he had that run where he exhausted himself and hit 30-something in one round.
Yeah.
And it was grueling. It was a sprint, and it was grueling. And you look at how great he was in the first half and then look at the numbers in the second half. And then if you really watch the games, he really struggled off that. I don't know if there's much to it, but it doesn't take much to spook a baseball player, right?
Well, that's
baseball's
what we're
hard
talking
enough
about
as it is.
with Pete last night. You know, he was the odds-on favorite, right, for the Derby. And, you know, you thought that would definitely happen, but you get in that groove of not hitting home runs and, you know, the clock's just racing against you. Like, it went south in a hurry for him. And like you said, it gets weird real quick, and all of a sudden you're headed back to the locker room with your Gatorade and your towel, and you're done.
Y'all had on clocks in general. Like I'm pretty old school. I'm anti-clock. I don't really like the clock. I think the clock has something to do with these injuries, in my opinion.
I think it'd be, Kyle, you probably have a better perspective as far as like a pitcher side of things.
Yeah, I think I don't know necessarily about the clock specifically, but I mean, all these guys throw 100 miles an hour plus, right? I mean,
Yeah.
or not all of them, but 95 plus. You're going to see you're going to see probably at least 16 guys go out in the All-Star game tonight, and probably 14 to 16 throw 95 plus. They throw so hard. Now, I do think that the radar guns are different now than when we played. I think a lot of the radar guns used to pick up the ball halfway to home plate, and now it's right out of the hand. And that's why I think you're seeing a lot of the velocities are so much consistently higher. Like I was reading up on Paul Skenes a couple days ago, like his average fastball this year is 99.2. Average.
Yeah.
I mean, he's throwing 99 every pitch or higher. That's insanity. He's throwing a made-up pitch called a splinker, so it's a mix between a splitter and a two-seam fastball or a sinker. Yeah, basically holds it like a sinker, and it's 94.
And he's what, 6'6", 6'7"?
Yeah.
So it's on you like it's 105.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's crazy, man.
We see that with what Max did with Cortez, right? I mean, getting into a two-seamer that's still in the high 90s and has run. It made him nasty.
The entire
turned him
plate
into a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Now he just throws it over the middle and he lets it run.
Yeah, that's a great point, Gabe. I was actually thinking about, like, I never have met Max Wiener, but you could tell like what he did with that staff and the amount of walks that they cut down. Like Jackson Appel did not set up on corners this year. Like he set up right down the middle, and especially for Cortez, he was throwing a 95 to 100 mile an hour fastball, challenging guys and throwing it right down the middle. Here it is, hit it, Yeah. And now it did have depth to it. I mean, it was a true sinker as well, which is insane to throw that fast and have that kind of movement on a ball. But then his slider was just completely wipe out, and he threw it at any point in the count too, which makes the 97 mile an hour fastball seem like 105 probably.
And a guy that I wouldn't say was all over the place, but his effective wildness like made him even more dangerous because you didn't know if he's going to throw a fastball in a hitter's count or a slider, but you also didn't know if it was going to be anywhere in the zone. So I mean,
or in your ribs.
Yeah.
I mean, he was projected 87th and ended up going 45th.
Yeah.
Angels knew what kind of stuff is in there, and he could be special.
I love baseball romanticism, and you never notice the romance of baseball in real time. I don't think a lot of times when you're in the fray, the thing like that. But Chris Cortez has literally walked inside of one major league ballpark in his life, and it's the Angels. And the Angels are the team that drafted him. And his parents are from California, and they used to go to Disneyland. And he'd drive by there wishing he could go to the baseball game. And one time they walked into one baseball game and watched the Angels play. And that team took him. That's awesome. Pretty stinking awesome. That'd be like the Bucks taking you, Nick. I mean, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Romance has a silly way of being a pretty difficult mistress sometimes, right? It works both ways in baseball.
And they take Christian Moore as their first pick, and him and Christian Moore had that kind of battle off in that second game, and he walked him, and now they're on the same team, and then Prager gets scooped up by the Angels too. So how about those three picks right there? It's kind of like the NFL drafting Alabama players or something right there. It's like these guys just played for on the biggest stage with the biggest programs and the best baseball in the country. Like there's no reason why we don't take these guys right here. Yeah.
Brody and I were born to hate the Angels anyway, and now we can hate them even more because we thought we had a chance to get Ryan Prager back for another leverage year. Remember, he's a third-year sophomore.
I know.
And remember, second year off of Tommy John, what next year could be with another year of leverage.
Yeah,
a little bit stronger too, which I think could help him with durability. A little more velo, right? Yeah. I think he could have stood a chance to actually elevate himself even more.
Should we send him the link and have him come into the chat real quick? We could talk to him a bit.
Yes. Hey, there's got to be
real quick.
There's got to be a donor out there in College Station somewhere that can match this $900,000 signing bonus, right?
Hey, Nick, can you imagine Matt Deggs, a young Matt Deggs, who's always fired up, like the word go at all times? I thought he was going to fight me every time I went in to do an interview, like just out of just boredom. Mm-hmm. That dude had an intensity about him that you just had to respect it. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And I respected the hell out of that guy when he was here. And Childress in 07, 06 was not the same Childress in 16, 18, 20. He just was a different player. Like those dudes in the Twitter age, I don't know what happened, changed, but they couldn't have stood what y'all went through. And I know a little bit about what y'all went through. But could you imagine Matt Deggs sitting over there, not calling out Seaback, but you're 25 and 28, trying to just even get to the Big 12 tournament, and one of your players out there singing the dang anthem. Like, I always put myself into Matt Deggs' position. Like, my third best hitter's out here singing a stinking, it's like this guy's out here singing we're trying to win baseball games, and Gabe Bach would love to sing the anthem. He's already done it twice this year. I got Todd Seaback singing it. Like, I always thought about that from Matt Deggs' perspective, because he's always on go. Let's let him bust the acoustic out, practice for 4 hours so you can do it good, even though I need you to hit 310 at least.
Yeah.
So we can win some games. That's so funny.
That's a great point, Gabe. That's a great point, man. Never really thought about it from Matt Deggs' perspective.
And even from an 06 team perspective to an 07 team, just that different perspective had to have been completely different. It was still, the intensity was definitely always there, but 06, it was more like, we're trying to get rid of guys and bring in our own guys.
Well, he did go. He was one of the four that got asked, and he was great at Sam. Because I talked to Seaback, and what he did was he went up to the Alaskan League and learned to catch fish, and he got hot, and he carried that in with Stein over there at Sam, and they were great over there. So it works out. Look, that was way pre-portal, but the transfer world has worked out to A&M before. He gave us Zach Jackson. How about all the JUCO guys we were able to get? And that's pre-portal. You had to go and raid JUCO in order to get instantly great. Now, Brandon Hicks would not have let Brody Green sing the anthem in 07. So Matt Deggs wouldn't have had to say anything because Brandon Hicks would have taken care of it.
The only thing I had on Hicks whenever we went into that first fall was I could beat him in a 6-minute mile, and that was about it. The battle for the shortstop position kind of stopped right there.
Epic.
You're talking on Kyle. I know you got a question going back to kind of that 07 year. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, Gabe. Like 07 was obviously a big year in the. It was the end of my career, start of Brody's career, but the beginning of the Childress era for Texas A&M baseball. You covered it. What were some of your favorite memories like from that year?
There's millions of them. You got to remember, I was a Cub reporter, and you guys took me in. And so you think about that baseball team. You think about a big old lanky kid from College Station, Texas, that pitched like an inning in 06 and became one of the all-time power hitters in A&M history, and Luke Anders. And I remember, because I would go to just practice a lot of times. I decided I was going to office at the press box. And so I was just up there a lot of times, and literally it's noon, 2 hours before practice. I got nowhere to be, and I had a parking pass and no money. So I just went up to the press box, brought my own sandwich, and waited on you guys to practice. This is not the World Series. I'm talking about regular practice. And even like fall, after the World Series, like just, hey, I'm just going to go to Olsen Field and see what happens. And more often than not, there was one dude there. Luke Anders, and he'd go up to the press box and put the music on himself so that he could go get some workout in before. So baseball pays you back. Baseball success leaves clues, right? And you can't, none of that happens to Luke without all that, without all the work that very few people saw. You guys knew it, but he turned himself into one of the best hitters in A&M history and one of the best hitters of the Rob Childress era. And you're not guaranteed that success by doing those things, but you're almost guaranteed not to if you don't. And so those kind of moments, like seeing a pitcher starting at first Let's see how that shakes out, and then all of a sudden he goes out there and hits 330 in the first year, I think. I mean, look, say 11 homers in the first year. Think about Blake Stouffer's cycle against Ohio State, because y'all had to have it, right? I mean, you had to have the day game. Yeah, second of the year. You had to have the day game win, and safe pitching to do it would help too if you could. Because you got Jonathan Lucroy on that Saturday night. Mm-hmm. And then needed to come back and make some magic happen. So you needed to do
Gabe.
It right. I'm sorry. I want no names.
No names. That was me though. I got Lucroy.
Yeah.
Craig Stinson also got robbed in that game too.
They had a good outfield, like a left fielder who was a prospect. I think they had some good players.
Yeah,
and I felt like half the dang stadium was Cajuns that first night, and we did something about it on Monday. Well, Sunday and Monday, because it became overwhelming maroon. So, think about Tebow. You think about you go back all the way to the fall and see Talbot, all the work you did with Hicks, because the swing needed some fixing. And Talbot was a bat whisperer, quite frankly. And all that work. You think about Parker surviving cancer. I darn near shed a tear listening to that episode, because baseball – all the baseball stuff and how it is. I mean, it's hard not to be romantic about this game that we all love. I love it as much as you guys did. I just ran out of ability, so, how he got paid back. You get paid back. He has a weird way of paying you back the work you put into it. It's not guaranteed, but these stories are things that we'll keep with us and be talking about for a long, long time. Parker going out there hitting almost 360. As a fifth-year player who was playing half the time before that was pretty amazing. The rise of Colligan that year. And then Kyle Nicholson. I mean, Kyle, all of the injuries that as soon as it felt like I'm about to turn a corner here and start dominating in the Big 12 and then a setback, and then, Krebs along with you too in 06. We had a chance to be pretty decent in 06, actually. It was the first year. It needed to get a lot better. You needed to elevate the profile of our baseball team, and we did that in 07. But 06, it was also snake bit in a big way. It was snake bit in a huge way.
Took them early in the season.
A sweep.
Swept them on the road, and then kind of went.
Don't forget Chambliss. Was that the year Chambliss slipped on a baseball and injured himself? And then tried
Krebs
to
slips on the mound early in the game at Baylor on a wet mound from the field crew wetting the grass and tears his meniscus or MCL. He tore something in his knee.
Easy on that meniscus talk.
Yeah. Hey, was 07 –
Go ahead, Gabe.
Was 07 the year that we were down big on a Sunday against Baylor and came back and Rob got ejected and Matt took us the rest of the way and we beat him, or was that a different year?
Kansas, I remember –
okay.
The next year on the road.
Yeah, on the road. That was unbelievable.
We were down
extra innings.
We were down 5. I vividly remember this. We were down 5 against Kansas late. I think it was in the 8th inning on a Sunday, and we pieced it together and ended up walking them off in the bottom of the 9th for some awesome magic.
Yeah, no question, man. I mean, there were just so many moments.
You mentioned that about Luke. We're still unsure how he got his degree, if he even went to class, because maybe he had 6 a.m. classes. Because, like you said, he was setting up the tarp, putting the skirt down, rolling out L screens, and some of us were just getting out of bed, going to class, and he was already, but it paid him back. He put in the work, and
no doubt, man.
Don could had some power with the best of them.
Well, there's a couple more. Gary Campfield turns it on late in the year because you had to have some bullpen help. Yep. I'll tell you another one was I was shocked. I didn't expect Travis Starling to pitch at A&M, and then all of a sudden to become a 2 or 3 year guy where we had to have him. 07 late, we had to have him late, and he came out of absolute nowhere. And this is the Childress thing. Colligan didn't play for 20-something games and tied you and Ribbies as a freshman. Along with Salazar, right? Going off the top of my head. Which is dangerous. 07, Clayton Ellert barely played. Was that the year? And then really you needed him late. He became a guy.
Meagle?
Yeah, Meagle. Meagle became a Sunday guy. And then T-Star in 07, barely played. But then late, you had to have him. So all these moments like that, and I'll tell you another one now, and I can't believe it took us this long to think about it, but our conference record wasn't that great. We were probably going to make the tournament, but this wasn't just A&M. At that time, missed it in 05, 04 and 05, right?
Yep.
Did we miss it? Missed it in 06, or did we make it one of those
I'm
years?
sorry. 04 was the super regional team against LSU. That was my freshman year. 05 we missed it.
03 we were great and should have made a run, but lost to Houston. 04 was the super regional, right? Yeah, because we won at Rice. 05 we didn't. Mark gets fired. Bill Byrne in his flip flops comes and fires Mark Johnson. I mean, at least wear some daggum pants. Wearing his boxer shorts and flip flops, comes in and fires Mark Johnson. That still pisses me off because we all love Mark Johnson. And then and Mark was mad about that too. He made it pretty clear.
I know it.
In 06 is what it is. In 07, like, we're probably going to get in, but you're always a little nervous. You go in that Big 12, and Kirkland Rivers.
We dropped the first one in Nebraska.
Kirkland Rivers, though, saved us, I thought. That was up there. Was that in OKC? Going up there and pitching an absolute gem against an incredibly good Horns team in 07.
Yep.
And that got us going because we beat them. And
Craig
then, the rest is history.
Yeah. Craig Stanton had a grand slam that day.
That's right. Canfield was nuts against Baylor. Like, that's about as good as it gets to win the Big 12. That was pretty impressive stuff, man. I mean, you can go on. There's stories for days. I do think that it's important for you guys to carry on the memory for a lot of these young folks that maybe forget because there have been a lot of other great moments that have come on since 07, but we were in a world of hurt going into that year. And it takes a spark. Like, what's the team? Think about your favorite team, and what's that team that helped change the narrative? And the narrative has been changed ever since the 07 team stepped foot on the field together, found some place to paint a house, and decided that it was going to end right then and there in August.
Yeah.
In 06. August of 06, everything changed. It probably changed that day Kyle Nicholson fought 30 dudes in the dugout. Y'all had a lot of stories, and these are stories that are important to tell because we're talking about one of the absolute – for the next 10 years, we're going to be talking about A&M as one of the best baseball programs in the country.
Yeah. No doubt.
But it had to start somewhere, and it needed a big-time kickstart, and that happened in 07 with you two guys.
This is why we brought you on. I'm fired up now. I'm ready to run back to 06 fall and paint a house khaki and start all over.
Got to do it, man. You got to do it.
Yeah, speaking of stories, man, growing up, I had the luxury of going to Omaha with my dad. We got family that lives just east of Omaha. And we went, it was probably 5 straight years, middle school, going into high school. But I know you went up there, took Easton up there. You guys had some folks you stayed with, kind of an open-ended trip. And just as long as we were going to be up there, you were going to be there. Just kind of tell us how the trip was, just bonding, watching great baseball. And, what was it like this year?
It's unbelievable. I kept going back because I left a dream job. I loved everything about doing that job. Still had an incredible amount of fun doing it up until my very last show 3 years ago. This is what Texags got me. This is an actual, not a copy, but the actual. I framed my very first show and put it in the studio. Texags stole that frame, made an exact copy of it so I wouldn't notice it. Then they took the original and had it framed in this. So this is nice. The actual, the first notes, the clock of my very first show. So
that's awesome.
And I still keep it in my office here at work, and it reminds me of the great times in the past. But you think about the reasons why you leave something that you love, and your dreams change over time. You go from wanting to be a baseball player to realizing that's not going to happen. How can I still be around the game? Did it in that capacity for almost 20 years. And then your dreams change again when you get kids. Their dreams become your dreams. Right now I'm coaching him in travel baseball, right? So his dreams are my dreams. I would not be doing that if I didn't have a son that plays baseball, right? Even though I love baseball, I like being around the game. It's fun, but it's volunteer work. It's a lot of stress. Brody, you used to do it, not as a volunteer, but you remember the stress of it. And so, but I do it because that's his dreams. Those are his dreams. But, COVID, a lot of things change too. You start thinking, got a lot more time to think about what the future is going to look like. So I really haven't spent a lot of time in regret, never. And I really, Mrs. Bock keeps me too busy to really even miss it very much because there's just so much else going on, and we're really thankful for that. But there are some moments where you wish you had 3 hours of clock and runway to break some stuff down,
Yeah.
particularly the whole Schlossnagel thing. But you think about during that trip, Brody, I thought about you 100 times during that trip because I remember our interview was so long. The cleaning ladies were coming in, and Hutch kicked us out of the inside, and it was your profile interview, which I did with Nicholson. It was his normal length. Brandon Hicks, 3 minutes. Nicholson, 18 minutes. Brody, and y'all didn't think Brody was a talker until we were like 42 minutes in. He was still telling his Omaha story. And at that time, it was like, hey, can we make a run to Omaha? And had to go on the road for the regional. It didn't happen. Brody never got to do it, but paved the way for that next team, which did get it. All right. And so, but I thought about having to go outside on those old steps right outside the players area where y'all's entrance. And we sat out there in that beaming June sun and talked about your whole time and your experience with your dad going to Omaha every year there for a window of time. And I thought about that a lot because that was my 4th trip to Omaha. But prior to that, that was an office space for me. That was work. I would have gone with Olin or somebody, I would have gone with Zane. God bless Zane, stepping up and doing yeoman's work, doing the Lord's work, right? But I'm proud to say I helped hire that guy. But I never would have been able to take Easton. So you probably would have looked up in 10 years, so I never quit, and I wouldn't have had these experiences with my own kids. And it's experiences that we'll never forget. We played golf twice. We did putt-putt about 18 times. We ate a lot of food and just experienced it together. And, Brody, it's on your side. It's on Casey's side of the family of cousin Andy in Omaha. He lives in Omaha. So next time that happens, we need to just invade cousin Andy's house, and all of us do that because whether you got boys or girls, you got 2 girls. But, man,
it's
it
Father's
is
Day
special.
weekend. You start the weekend on Father's Day. Like, you
Exactly.
can't be told no, really. We say, hey, we're going to Omaha for Father's Day, so either get on board or stay home.
Jace Lavillette's catch, that home run saving catch to help secure the Florida game. Remember, you get in the loser's bracket right there, it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
And so Lavillette's catch there was the first thing that happened on Father's Day. Remember, it's right past midnight.
Yeah.
On into almost 1 o'clock at that point. But the first great thing that happened on Father's Day, besides Easton's 3rd hot dog, was he didn't eat 58 hot dogs in 5 minutes, but he ate 3 hot dogs in about 8 innings. And he still felt like he was going to have a reversal of fortune. Nonetheless, though, man, it was awesome, and we had a great time. 13 days on, just hanging out and just enjoying the beauty of baseball. And it was all joy, literally, until the very last out. Because I thought Burton or somebody was going to do it. Because this team just had that in them. They were walking wounded and just had some special ability to keep scratching and fighting. Pick yourself up off the mat and keep scratching and fighting for everything you can get. And this team just didn't have any quit, literally, until the 27th out of that last baseball game. Pretty special.
Yeah, you said that, though, Jace's catch. You think about that play. You think about the check swing in the Tennessee-Florida State game that could have gone whatever way you wanted to go. And those two teams play for the damn national championship. Like, if those go the other way, you could feel pretty confident saying those two might not make the championship series. You know what I mean?
There is no doubt. Yep. Yeah.
Kyle, I know you had another baseball question to throw at Gabe.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, you guys know how this game goes, man. You make a run that deep in any season, you got to have a lot of good things go your way, and A&M capitalized on their moments, and obviously so did Tennessee. But Gabe, I just wanted to ask you, you're physically in Omaha at the time. The news that Pierce was being let go from Texas, that news kind of breaks.
Yeah.
What's your immediate reaction, with the buzz around Omaha at that time?
Well, the immediate reaction is Texas is trying to do whatever they can to sabotage our moment. And really is the jealousy of I can't allow A&M to have this moment because they're already miles ahead of us. We beat them 4 out of every 5 games typically, right? I mean, it is really a one-sided affair right now. And so the last thing I can do if I'm Texas, and they hadn't won in a while, guys, right, is and they had that Pierce thing. That thing was signed, sealed, and delivered for a long time.
Yeah.
They both parties knew that, and they choose until the national championship game on our moment to do that. That was totally by design. That wasn't an accident. And that wasn't a coincidence by any stretch of the imagination, particularly when you find out that the very next day they'd swiped our head baseball coach, who was coaching in the most important game of his career, and is fine with it. So Jim Schlossnagle is fine with Texas releasing that news when they did, knowing that it was going to create a distraction for the biggest day of his entire career. That was the biggest day of his entire career. Finally, he's never made 8 trips to Omaha, 7 as a head coach, 1 as an assistant. He's never been in the championship series. All those runs. Remember, they were in the winner's bracket, lose to Coastal twice, and don't get to the championship in 16. That would have been 16, right, after they beat us.
Yep.
And got there. They could have won the national championship with that team that year. Well, and then all of a sudden, you're fine letting Del Conte expose that news that day on the biggest day of your career, knowing that it was going to create a distraction for all of your players on the biggest days of their careers. Like the narcissism on both sides to allow that to happen. And to put that maroon and white jersey on, knowing the next day you were already headed to Texas, and trample on Zane out the door. I mean, praise God for Zane, because without that question and without that moment to expose Schlossnagle, which he really did, he really exposed Schlossnagle with a very important, basic, reasonable question.
Respectful as well.
Very respectful. And just allowed him to eat it, right? But without that, he leaves in the dark at night, and we never get to ask the question.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Do you think Slosh responds that way if Olin or Billy, or if you're in that situation I guess I'm not saying Richard's not respected, but he's a younger guy, you know what I mean? Do you think a guy like Billy gets that response for asking the same question?
No. Yeah. Definitely not Billy. Definitely not Billy. Kendall doesn't get it. Look, it was a perfect storm.
Yeah.
And you know what it did is it's elevated Zane's profile.
No doubt.
He didn't intend that, but Zane may get a bonus or a job out of this deal. Because you want a guy to go in there and be intrepid and ask some tough questions. Like, our whole job is to ask questions. That's basically it. Write what y'all say, and then don't screw the rest up. That's the whole job. As a baseball writer, ask the questions. The question that had to be asked after they fired their coach is, are you a candidate for that baseball job? No one, Del Conte. Look, have I been nervous about it? Yes. Was I bamboozled by Jim Schlossnagle? Yes. Was Brody always sticking to his guns about Schlossnagle? Yes. Would we have argued about that? Yes. Could I find a single Childress baseball player that actually bought in and drank the Kool-Aid? Yes. One.
Sorry, Jimmy.
Two, though. Yeah. And I was on that side of it.
Yeah.
Why? My opinion was, when are the Childress guys going to just realize that we're going to be awesome, and they just may never like this guy, but we're still going to be awesome, and they want to be as awesome as anybody.
Yeah.
And we're freaking great. But none of us knew that it was all like that. We should have seen the writing on the wall, frankly. You did, Brody. I'll give you credit for that. You really did. And I'll tell you this. When Boomer White, the day before Schlossnagle, or the day he was going to be announced to A&M, or maybe he just got announced. So the day after Schlossnagle's introductory press conference was my last show. That's the timing of it. Schloss gets hired. Press conference day was my penultimate show, the second to last. And then my last show was the day after that. So we're in Schloss love right then. I have Brody on that Boomer on the second to last show, who played for Schloss, played for A&M. Great perspective. The perfect guy to get on. And I asked him point blank, hey, how excited should we be? And his answer is Lou Brown at Tire World, when they asked him to be the manager, he's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Let me get back to you. You know, I got to talk
That's
about
great.
Get out on the other
That's
line
great.
about some white walls. They'll talk to you
Yeah,
Talk
later.
to you later.
And in Boomer's case, he's got to talk to a commercial real estate. I want a convenience store. I'll call you back. You know, like when Boomer paused, we should have all seen it. And there's a lot of those moments in there because Boomer knows when Schloss didn't get a single transfer to come with him. Remember, the transfer window started 3 weeks later. The official NIL was July 1st of that same summer. The portal had already been opened. It opened prior to that. So portal was already a thing. It didn't start with NIL. It came along a little bit before NIL. Would have been pretty easy to see if you couldn't pull that incredible shortstop that they still had coming back there, right?
Yeah.
Sarlis didn't leave. I get that. Sarlis was able to keep all those players. Not a single one of them transferred to A&M. And now you look at it, not a single one of these Aggie players, who most of them entered the portal. All of our high leverage players entered the portal, particularly positional players. And not a single one of them went over there. It speaks volumes that they know what's going on inside the clubhouse and locker room. They knew the kind of stuff he was saying about and to Travis Chestnut. And they didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus,
that's a
I
great
love that,
point.
right? Like, if you are a student at A&M, you bleed maroon. Like, you can't go here and not bleed maroon, in my opinion. And you
Right.
experience what they experienced at Olsen Field at Bluebell Park, and you're just going to waltz your way to freaking Austin like Brody did for a job. But, hey, Brody's still wearing maroon and white. That's a job. Hey, I'd leave, go for a good job, and still wear my maroon and white. But they were getting ready to don the burnt orange colors. You couldn't allow yourself to do that. The key, though, was getting somebody they trusted back here to run the show. And so Mike Early getting this job is a little bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy because let me tell you something. I know I'm on a rant here. But let's just say we hire Tim Corbin. We go to Vandy. We just slap $4 million to hire Tim Corbin. But Lavalette leaves, Grahovac leaves, Sorrell leaves, you lose a couple pitchers.
Yeah.
Or you go get Mike Early, and every last one of those dudes comes back. There's no chance Tim Corbin has a better year next year than Mike Early has because baseball is still about the players.
Yep.
And so and what that's going to do is allow him to build his early reputation as a rising star in this game. We're going to be great in the first year. We're going to keep allowing him to recruit more guys, and then it's just up to him to keep the momentum going. I know we're going to be amazing next year. I wouldn't be surprised if we're preseason number one in the first year.
Yeah.
And you go hire Tim Corbin, I bet we're out of the top five because half that team's gone.
Yep.
No,
That's the biggest name I know in baseball, right? I mean, you hire anybody.
Yeah.
It's still not going to be as
they-
good as we'll be next year with Early, in my opinion.
Yeah, they talked about potentially making that run at Vitello. You had to do it just to see, and maybe out of, like Billy said, a weird sense of humor, like he wants to take that job just because he just beat Sloss and, being right next door to him and just say, let's go at it for the next X amount of years. But, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Like, that whole roster just played in the national championship a couple days before. Like, the main thing was getting that roster back in the locker room altogether. So you nailed it, man. And I know we could harp on and talk about that whole story for years to come. And I know people are probably tired of hearing about it, but, it's good to hear a lot of other people's perspectives from it, and especially yours. You've been in that business, and, from that standpoint, it's when you think about it, it's just even people I talk to that aren't affiliated with either, they're just like, man, what the hell happened? Like, what is that? It's unheard of stuff. So, but man, we can transition off there and kind of turn the page. We're getting closer to football season. We've been talking about, Kyle and I were talking before the show about SEC Media Days, and I asked you, let's give us kind of a rundown of, when you were there and kind of what, those guys are doing. Obviously getting to have those shows on site and bring in other guys in, like, this week I think, Josh Pate's been on, just kind of guys that are outside of the area here, kind of a different view. So give us kind of your perspective of how it went down and, what we can expect coming from Dallas this week.
Yeah, it's become a national event, right? And in 2012, with all the doubt for A&M, and then the next year was the whole Manziel stuff. And so you do get a different perspective. When I first started in the industry, I was going to Big 12 media days, which issued about maybe 90 to 110 credentials total. And I think probably had 3 or 4 radio shows there at all. And it felt very regionalized. Now I get to interview Indomitian Sue. Colt McCoy tells me, hey, I'm going to go to the restroom. I'll be right back. We'll do an interview. And literally sneaks out the side door with John Bianco. Like, literally, this Texas crap's been going on for a long time, long before me. I've experienced it enough. And, man, there's a lot of people I'd suit up for. And I'd never – if Easton wants to go there on a full ride, like, I'm paying for blend. It ain't happening. It just ain't happening. I'm just sorry. It's just not going to happen. And Sam Bradford wins the Heisman that year, sits down with me for 15 minutes. Colt McCoy eschews me after a restroom break. You know, I mean, it's just the same stuff. But very regionalized. Then you go to the SEC, and it's a whole different world. It's 1,000 credentials. And that's the best part about it. People, a lot of times, I'll get on a radio show after media days, be like, hey, what's your biggest media day takeaway? It's like, well, I didn't see a single player interview or listen to a single coach because we're down there on Radio Row making friends and connections in this industry that are going to pay off for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Think about what Josh Pate's a friend of Texas. Why? Because Billy has an incredible way of connecting with people. Way better than me, you know. Billy goes to bed when I wake up. So there's just a way. He's got a way about him that I just can't. I don't have the pace. But he's got. Ola and I be going to dinner somewhere at SC Media Days. We see a big group of people that are very recognizable, like Marcus Spears and Booger and Peter Burns. I'm like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I wonder where they're going to eat. Well, we should just ask Billy because he's right there in the same group. You know, I don't know how he does it, but he's special in his way to connect with people.
Yeah.
And so I think that has a lot to do with it. I think Pate's about the best that there is. The best part about media days is connecting with those kind of guys because you're going to need them a lot because you got a lot of time to fill and you want to get that perspective. And they're going to need you too anytime they need that A&M source. And so it's a heck of a deal. It is an absolute fiasco, but in the greatest sense of the word. I still like the old school approach. I like it at Hoover in the hotel there. It's got that old feel to it. You get all those crazy Bama fans because, you know, most Bama fans don't work. So they're just always there. You know, there's no Auburn people there because they all work. But these Bama fans are just, I'm telling you, by the hundreds are there on Bama Day.
That's hilarious.
It is insane.
I wonder if it's the same. I wonder if it's the same turnout. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty good, but now with Nick not coaching anymore, and is it probably still the same turnout? But yeah, like you said, it's in Dallas, so
that's the weird thing about it is, and with the excitement for Texas, I would imagine there's got to be some Longhorn fans. Now, if Texas had gone 5-7 last year, there might be 15 Longhorn fans out there because they're very fair weather, right? But
that's
because they were good last year, there's a fair amount of people in Dallas who root for the team in orange. I bet they'll have a pretty good turnout, probably better than Bama. It'll be a pretty good case study to watch. But it's fascinating, man. I mean, 12-team playoff, a 16-team SEC. There's a lot of stuff on the field that is just incredible topics and storylines. At the same time, still off-the-field stuff keeps dominating, like NIL, but certainly what happens with Florida State and Clemson. And they're really trying to lawyer up, and get out of that ACC. So what happens there? Will the Big 12 make that push that they're rumored to do? Will the SEC actually want Florida State or Clemson? Maybe Clemson, maybe not Florida State. We'll see. Is it a package deal? I'm fascinated still by the off-the-field stuff and the business side of major college athletics. But, it's going to be fun. The 12-team playoff should make this thing even better because in the old playoff, if you lost one, you're in playoff mode the rest of the way, which was fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now you can see a team that gets better over the course of the year, and their playoff hopes aren't over. And so down the stretch, look at that team, how they got better. They were 1-2 to start, but they got better and better. Watch them. Now they're still on the hunt for the 12 team. You may have a 3-loss team in an SEC that could get in over a second, Big 12 team potentially. I mean, we'll see. It'll be and then a fight for the host spots.
Yeah.
Because if you don't win a Big 12, you're going on the road and have to win a 5 through 12, and then just to get back into round 2, you got to win 4 games in a row. If you don't win your conference, you get one of those byes. So it is just going into this year. I'm fascinated to see how this thing shakes out. It's going to be awesome.
That's what I was kind of leading into that. This fall, what kind of are you most excited about on our side of things? Like what we're looking forward to. I mean, obviously the first weekend out the gate is going to be incredible with game day and Notre Dame coming in. But there's just with the baseball buzz right now leading into that first weekend, it's going to be a great time. But kind of what are you looking forward to the most or most excited about?
No, man, I'm excited about the stability. I'm excited that Mike got this job. I love what he's doing. I love his. He's a complimentary football coach. He's going to do what it takes to win. His offenses were good at Duke, and I think they'll be really, really good here. I love the Colin Klein pickup. Obviously, I like our QB room, but 15's got to stay healthy, man.
Yeah,
you want a chance to shock some people in the first season and get into the playoff. If 15's healthy, I think we got a shot. Yeah. I really do. I love our football team. I love how he attacked the portal, how he's building this thing like an NFL franchise. That scouting department, all the technology, all that stuff is vital. Now, you don't just be, I'm only tech, like Kyle's a pitching coach. He can't only be tech. You got to have some feel in there too, and he does. I think he's a really, really smart guy, Ivy League, obviously, but has a great feel for coaching, man. Has a great feel for winning, what it takes to win football games. And the attention to detail was not there under Jimbo Fisher. And particularly a lot of off-season detail that just kind of went by the wayside. There was a guy who was extremely unorganized who did not really allow and empower his assistants to do their job. Okay? So a very unorganized person really tried to do it all by himself. A little bit of like narcissism approach there. Mike Elko has hired some extremely good people and is empowering them to do the job that they're really, really good at. And you've got his eyes on the entire process. I love what we've done in the defensive backfield, secondary. I love bringing Nick Scorton back over here, a Brian High kid, who is look at our defensive front. It all starts there. I think we'll be better on the line. That's got to get better. And I kind of like what we got at the skill spots. A lot of people, that's a big question mark. But if we can stay healthy, I like what we've got at the skill spots.
Yeah, I think it's a very underrated group. On the offensive side of things, not many people are talking about it, and
I know.
The offensive line has 4 guys that are returning, and like you said, now have probably a very good offensive line coach as opposed to what they've had in the last couple of years.
Agreed.
So it's easy to be optimistic as a fan, but I think the proof's all there in terms of who's running the show, how he's running the show, what you do have coming back, what you did bring in. I think that first week is going to be one of those games that, with game day at night, Kyle Field, 12th man, and the way that it'll be played, we come out on top. I feel very confident in the game. And Elko going against his own quarterback he had last year, that's even another feather in the cap on our side, I think. And
totally.
I think it'll be this team we may want to start thinking about right out of the gate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Nick? You fired up for it?
Dude, I'm real fired up for it. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. This game begins and ends with your quarterback, and 15 has to stay healthy. And it's not that they don't have capable guys behind him, but listen, he's the guy. He's our starter. We have to keep him up and keep him healthy. And that defensive line, man, they have a chance to be a reckoning against other opposing teams. And, if they're able to do that, man, I like where we're at as well. Hypothetically, Gabe, we stay healthy like we just talked about. What's your bald prediction?
I was hoping you'd ask, baby. I even shaved for this.
That thing is shining, man. That's got some answers in there for sure.
Hey, the first day in the new studio, I can't remember when 14 or something. We moved in the new studio, 13 or 14. We moved across from Lupo's, or where Lupo's used to be across from campus.
Yep.
and they put some makeup on my head, and I'm like, man, this is just it's too silly. I guess it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So for one day, I did head shine takeaway. The rest of the time, shine away, baby, shine away.
That is
Yeah,
hilarious.
come on. I'm not hunting a network job. I'm just having fun here. And so shine the thing away. Let your light shine, right? And
That's
so
right.
anyway, my bald prediction is that it's going to come down. My bald prediction is that Texas isn't as good as they think they are. Okay,
I think their schedule is going to allow them to facade some people into how good they actually are with the schedule layout and who they get to play at home and where they go on the road. So
they're
going to have talent, but yeah, I think it's a cupcake schedule, if you want to put it that way.
Cupcake for an SEC schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember, they were living in cupcake land for a long, long time, like super cupcake land. And I do think they're a good football team. I think they got talent. But I think you can get exposed on the road where you don't know you're about to get exposed until you get popped in the face like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball to Brody.
Twice.
Like you got to pick yourself up off the dang dirt when that happens. And that's not easy to do when you've been used to beating up little people. And so I think they're going to get exposed in some places that they didn't think they were going to. Find themselves down like 14-3, have to crawl their way back. Probably will do it a couple times and probably won't do it a couple times. It's going to boil down to that game at Kyle Field. That's what it's going to come down to. And A&M's going to beat them at Kyle Field and get into the college football playoff. That's my ball prediction. A 12-team playoff spot is on the line at Kyle Field, the biggest game we've seen maybe ever. 11 was huge because, we thought we may never play them again.
Yeah.
And this one's going to be even bigger because we're going to be a lot better. And they'll be about the same, which is pretty good, but not great. They weren't great. That was the scaredest quarterback I've ever seen win at Kyle Field, Case McCoy, running around scared to death. And we let him win that game. The return will not be as friendly.
Yeah.
We're going to beat them, okay? And
they had the best kicker on planet Earth ever to walk
they did. Ever.
the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So that didn't
Had
happen.
to deal with him
him.
with Texas and had to deal with him as a Steelers fan and him being on the Ravens. I mean, can this guy go away, please?
We beat him late. Wigman to Thomas in a fade. We beat him in a tight game, and we get into one of those 12 spots. It's my ball prediction.
I love it.
Man, if they stay healthy, there's no reason you can't believe or think that they're going to have a very good year. You don't play Bama, you don't play Ole Miss, you don't play Georgia, you don't play Tennessee. Everything's right there in front of you, staying healthy. And I think that even goes all the way to Moffitt and what he's done. You've seen the pictures of Wigman. The guy looks an absolute monster right now. Whether it's taking some speed off of him, but maybe making him more durable, whatever it may be, I think the whole program in general is going to benefit from an off season with that guy for sure.
Oh, no question. I'm fired up about it, man. No doubt. It's going to be awesome.
It is, man.
Can't wait for it. I love living here, getting a chance to be right in the backyard, man. It's been awesome.
Well, I will hopefully on that opening weekend, I may pass out in your backyard after how that weekend could go. So,
Nick, come join us, man. Y'all can do the pod from Easton's room.
I would love that, man. I would love to take you up on that offer. We'll keep you posted.
Gabe, appreciate you. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you not in the A&M Hall of Fame yet?
Nah, Kyle and I were talking about that the other day. I think they only do guys that made the big leagues. I don't know.
That can't
it's
happen.
weird, man. I'm just
Congrats,
Dude,
Strip. Once
tell
again.
you,
it's big time for Strip, and Brooks. What was that 2 years ago? Brooks got in there.
Got in. Walker got in. Walker got in.
Yeah. So
Caruso.
and deserving. Those guys are studs.
Caruso. Those are huge. So you probably know that Ross Stripling. There was no spot for Ross Stripling.
Yep.
In the summer during camp, Rob gets a call from an 11th round pick out of Alvin. Nathan Eovaldi calls Rob and shocks him with the news that he's signing as an 11th round pick with the Dodgers. If it were a small market team, after Tommy John, if it were a small market team, they probably wouldn't sign him, but the Dodgers ponied up. They didn't get a couple guys, and they had extra money. Round 11, sign Eovaldi. Rob was pissed because Rob told him, you're going to be a first rounder in 3 years. Just let me work with you, work on that secondary pitch. Probably would have done that splitter. But, he worked on it anyway. It works. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
It's great now, but Rob knew he was special. Rob was out of spots literally like a day or two later with his dad, Hayes. They're visiting the Mays Business School. Walks in total randomly. Rob didn't get a text, call. They just say, I'm popping in. Want y'all to know I'm going to business school. They knew him from Carroll because he had that 1 year where he was great in Dallas, but he never really played before. He never pitched until senior year. And goes 9-1 that year. Rob's like, well, shoot. He's like, I'll give you an invite only. Come here, get a jersey, and do whatever. And Rob took him on as a project because that curveball was real. He really did. And it wasn't pretty early. Remember Fullerton? Was it Fullerton where he gets rocked? Like big time rock. Yeah. Yeah, but he bowed up against C.J. Crone, didn't he? In Utah.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it was here we played him.
Oh, was it? I thought we played him in Minute Maid too.
Look it up. But we played him here in a young stripling bowed up late when they loaded the bases. And I think at that point is off to the races in strip. Incredible. Guy from Bluebell, Pennsylvania. Plays at Bluebell Park the first year of Bluebell, whose granddad was a yell leader. Everything about it. Off of Tommy John, have a perfect game going in his first start in weather was unbelievable. Still had a no-hitter and got pulled and should have off of Tommy John. That was the right call by Roberts. Nonetheless, just the story for days, and it gets in an all-star. Like, that guy deserves it. But if you're telling me Brody, who hits, I got here, 312 as a freshman, fights the injury stuff, still 290 as a sophomore. Brody goes 344 with 11 jacks, like a 900 OPS as a junior. And then, Nick, let me tell you these numbers. Senior year, 65 games, A&M plays that year. He starts every one of them. 395, 14 homers, 55 ribbies, slugging of 673, on-base percentage 462. Guess how many steals he had, Nick?
21.
23. 23 of 28 while playing shortstop every single day. I mean, that's just unbelievable. That's one of the absolute best Seagull seasons in A&M history. And I'll talk about it. I'll talk about Domingo Bryant until he gets in the Hall of Fame. And I'll talk about Brody Green until he gets in the Hall of Fame. And then I'll go to you, Nick. But I got to go one at a time. One at a time. Because then I'm just like a rabble-rouser, right? I'm just like a complainer. If I keep talking about this long list, I got to narrow it down. Brody Green needs to be in the A&M Sports Hall of Fame. We can't forget about it because it was important. And it was one of those building block players. And you make a strong case because if you tell me Brandon Hicks, I'll say, okay, 1 year versus 4. If you tell me Boomer, I'll say 1 year versus 4. And there's some guys in there that are on that short list, Colligan included, Anders. But if I had to pick one from the Childress era, frankly, I'm going with 4 as the best hitter of the Childress era. And when you go 16 years and you had all that success, and this program made the tournament 14 years in a row, and I'm going to tell you, as someone who was as close as anybody around it, long before we were related, he's the best hitter in the Childress era, in my opinion, full career. I think in a full era, the best guy needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, I already told you were going to be on the show again after today. This isn't your last time. You didn't have to do that to get another shot on the show.
When you're down in the dumps, cuz, just call me up. I'll build your ego back up.
I'm telling you, I'm ready to run through a wall.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'd love to introduce my co-host as a Hall of Famer, Brody Green.
It needs to happen.
Just rings differently.
Hey, next time I'm on, I'll tell Kyle how I almost ran over Andrew McCutcheon. Could have ruined the whole rise of Andrew McCutcheon. Almost ran him over in Chicago one time while he was walking. Second being the beauty and romance of baseball. I've got to tell you how similar Ross Stripling's start at Texas was to Ross Hales' start at Texas. Unless y'all got time right now, I'll go over it. No. It's unbelievable. Give me 3 minutes.
We got all the time.
All right, let me tell you something right now. This is unbelievable. You want to talk about romance in baseball? The striking comparisons. But you remember Hales? That was a gem in 09. You remember that, Brody?
Yeah, 3-0. Shut him out.
In 11, the year after you leave, now I know you're fighting through minor leagues. You might not have seen this game. And, freaking Big 12, you probably had a pay-per-view just to watch it. And so –
keep in mind, I saw this with my own eyes I was there.
Oh, you were on the staff.
He was on the
I was
staff.
the grad assistant that year. Yep.
Have you ever thought to think how close and similar those two games were? Have you looked at it?
Well, I actually haven't. But yeah, I know exactly what you're about to get into. Let's hear it.
Tears. This is unbelievable. I lost my Aggie ring that night in the press box. I didn't find it for 3 days. Somebody actually mailed it back to me, so that's the good news. But then I lost it again, and then Texas got together and bought me another. My fault. I was young. Nonetheless, I go and I'm staying in a hotel. I'm down in the dumps about my ring, but this game moved me to go and dive as deep as you can in a single game setting. So I'm looking at Ross Hales in 2009, comparing it with Ross Stripling in 11. 2 years later, both in Austin. Okay, here's the comparisons. Both of those were 3-0 wins. Both games were Saturday games in Austin. Both were the only regular season wins over Texas up to that point in the Rob Childress era. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 6 years, Rob had 2 wins over Texas. Both of them were these 2 games. No more wins, except these 2. Both were complete games, tossed by guys named Ross. Both happen to be roommates, by the way. Don't forget that. Hales allowed 3 hits, Strip allowed 4. Both pitchers allowed 1 runner to reach second base. And in both games, that base runner was Texas shortstop Brandon Loy. I kid you not. 1 runner reached second. In both games, it was Brandon Loy. That's unbelievable stuff. You couldn't make it up. Loy only made it to first because of a fielding error by Colligan in 2009 in center, and Adam Smith playing third, mind you, in 2011. Neither pitcher walked a single batter in the entire game. And get this crap. Both threw the exact same number of pitches.
No way.
Damn.
Ross Hales, 105. Ross Stripling, 105. It gets better.
Nice.
Both faced the exact same number of batters, 30. In both games, the catcher was none other than Kevin Gonzalez, who we all love.
Sure.
No doubt.
And in each game, the last out of the game, positionally, was made by Scott Arthur. In both games. He was playing right field in 2009. He was playing left field in 11, and I don't remember him playing outfield at A&M. And he made outfield catches in both games as the last out in both of those. And in each game, Texas was ranked exactly 7 spots ahead of A&M in the polls. 7 and 14 in 2009 for A&M, 4 and 11 for Texas. 7 versus 14 in 2009 were the rankings of the 2 teams, and 4 and 11 were the rankings of the 2 teams. And 11. Ross Hales' final line, 9 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts. Strip, 9 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Both games, of course, had big Big 12 implications. Hales put A&M in a position to win the conference the next day. Stripling gave A&M a share of the Big 12 championship that day. And for what it's worth, the only other pitcher to throw in the A&M bullpen before the game, with Kyle Nicholson watching it. Before that game, there was a bullpen session as a just in case. The guy who threw before the game, I was down there watching.
Do I know? Do I remember?
Ross Hales.
Who?
Ross Hales.
Oh, Ross Hales. Yep.
Ross Hales threw a bullpen session before Ross Stripling's game when he was trying to come back from injury. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen, and nobody talks about it, so we're going to keep talking about it. I mean, I hope enough of those former guys can hear how special of a game in comparison those two were, because I've never seen anything like it. That's romance. That's why we're romantic about baseball.
Well done, Gabe. That was well done, man. I specifically remember that game. Obviously, stripped through a gem, but the clinch of the Big 12 for that day, that was huge. Obviously, that was goal number 1 out of the way that year of winning a championship.
On the road, too. Nice.
Yeah, that was in Austin.
Yep.
So
and we made the World
awesome,
Series
dude. Good stuff there.
Gabe, can't
guys.
Thank you enough, man. Appreciate you taking time. Awesome. I know you're busy. I know you got another vacation scheduled here soon. So,
hey, I do have a vacation scheduled soon up to Whiskey Land, Wisconsin. You got to
Hey,
come
are you
join
gonna be
us.
able to get some? You gonna be able to get some Leinenkugels before they shut the season down?
Oh,
I don't
you
know
better
what.
believe it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's
Such a good
Wisconsin,
beer.
man. The
Hey,
season, it's year-round.
Case is already
We're
talking
good.
about making the trip for the draft. You know, I even told him, I was like, man, I don't care anything about the Packers, but the draft in that setting will probably be one of the most enjoyable drafts
Oh,
next year.
for
That'll be
sure.
a
False.
blast.
It's the next year's draft. It'll be
Oh, is
in
that they're going to allow
Pittsburgh,
be in
Pennsylvania.
2 years
They've
later.
already announced it.
Hey, well, you guys are awesome. The good thing is we don't have any commercial breaks, so we just keep it rolling. You guys are awesome.
No doubt, man.
I
Hey,
used
we're
to
working
talk
on
in
those
15-minute
sponsors.
chunks. Now we get to talk an hour and a half chunks.
Yeah,
That's
no
great.
no hard outs here. We're just going to roll with it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Gabe. We'll talk soon. We'll get you back on, brother.
All right. That's my
You're the
best
best,
breakfast
Gabe.
club I've ever had. We'll see y'all.
Later,
Take
Gabe.
care, man. See you, dude.
Dude, that's awesome. He could sit there and just go to town
Oh, man.
all day long. And I'm here for it.
He was the best, man. I miss him on Texags. I know, obviously, life as we know it takes over, but
Well, his
he's one
show,
of the best.
his show, he would get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and like he wrote down on that clock, he would write down all his notes, like basically a script, and like prep at like 3 or 4 in the morning before he went live at 8 o'clock every single day, man. He puts everything into it. You could tell right there. This is nothing compared to that type of show. And the guy's got stats up ready to go. He's got stuff written down. That's awesome, man.
Yep.
We'll definitely get him back. I guess we need to hit on the mailbag. Somebody hopped in to the mentions on X. Brandon Barrett was asking about our jersey numbers and why we picked 18 and 4. Why don't you go ahead and explain your love for 18?
Appreciate the question, Brandon. It's such a great question because I think there's stories behind every athlete and why they choose the number that they do, especially kind of at the level that we've played at. Maybe not so much the minor leagues because you don't really have a choice there, but or at least I didn't with the Giants. But in A&M we kind of did have a choice, and I remember my freshman year coming in. Justin Moore, JMO, who is now the athletic director at Tulsa. So congrats to JMO for that. He was number 18. So I actually wore number 24 my freshman year, and always wanted number 18, man. So the reason why I chose number 18 was one man, and he was a Pittsburgh Pirate, and his name is Jason Kendall. Growing up, my dad and we always watched the Pittsburgh Pirate games, and he was just a hard-nosed, and I'll never forget this. It was at Three Rivers Stadium, the old Pirates field. They shared it with the Steelers, but Kendall legged out a ground ball, infield ground ball, and lunged for first base, and actually had a compound fracture of his ankle that came through his skin. It's kind of disgusting to think about, but it was on live TV, and I witnessed that with my own eyes, and I was kind of devastated as a fan. I was young then, but they always said that, he may not even ever walk right again, let alone play again. And it was that next year he was back and catching, let alone playing the catching position and all the stress it put on your lower body. But yeah, Jason Kendall was the reason why I chose number 18. And I like to think that I played the game the same way. I always played it respectfully and played it hard-nosed and gave it everything I got every time I stepped in between those white lines. So, always would have loved to met the guy. Never had a chance to, but Jason Kendall is the big reason and only reason why I wore number 18.
He was a dog.
What about you, Four?
No bat and gloves. Man, so middle school, when I started playing sports, my older brother was in high school and was, playing basketball, the quarterback, and playing baseball, and he was rocking 2. So I wore 2 in middle school just because I was trying to be cool like he was. And then when I got to high school, I made the switch to 4 because I was a big J.J. Redick fan. We played basketball before baseball season, and we were really good at basketball, so I wanted 4 just because I could probably shoot it like JJ did a little bit. We won't go into any stories on you and I shooting 3-point contests.
I'd love to.
We'll save that for another time. So I wore 4, and then going into college, like you said, when you come in as a freshman, you don't really get to pick kind of your number. You kind of get to take what's left. So I was thinking single-digit route, and I don't know if you remember, I started off the fall wearing number 9. And then, we had some turnover on the roster there at the winter break, and 4 opened up, and Hutch was clutching that and hooked me up with 4 going into my freshman spring, and Hicks then moved to 9, and I rocked 4 ever since. So yeah, kudos to JJ Redick getting me on the 4, donned it on the basketball court, and haven't taken it off since.
That's good stuff. I know you've always been a Lakers fan, so it's fitting. It's fitting that he's the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So
we're not even getting into that. That's talking basketball there. That's all we got.
That's right.
But yeah, man, I know you guys on vacation, about to head over to the pool, enjoy the pool, watch the All-Star game, watch your boy Skenes probably strike out the side in the first, and
man, I hope. I saw that Judge is hitting 4-hole today.
Oh,
so
really?
I mean, if he goes
gotta
1, 2,
have
3,
that.
he's not going to face him. But I kind of want a hit or a walk to happen, so I get to see that matchup. But
maybe they'll intentionally walk somebody just to get that for TV purposes.
It's must see TV, man. For any baseball fan, you want to see power versus power. It'd be exciting to see that. You don't get to see that every day, but yeah, man, excited to watch that tonight and spend some more time with the fam here. So we'll get this episode cut up and get it out as soon as we possibly can.
Big thanks to Gabe coming on again, man. I know we'll have him back. I know he'll gladly come back, but that was awesome to get some of his perspective, his stories. But enjoy Broken Bow, and we'll talk again next week, brother.
All right, brother. Sounds good, man. Hey, like our YouTube page, subscribe, please. And then, again, if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us on our Twitter pages. We've included our social media handles on the screen. So, all right, brother. Have a good one, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Big fly.
See you, dude.